general state of the world?
The general state of the world.
Well, we're...
It's rough.
It's pretty rough. But are we through the worst of it? I think we're through the worst of it. Hopefully. I don't know. Is that hopeful?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, enough people now have had the vaccine in their bodies that the microchips have been activated. So we know that that's gone through without any problem. So we know that microchips aren't going to kill us, right? I guess it's time to jump on the bandwagon when that vaccine gets around here.
Yeah, I don't have fluoridated water though, so I don't know if it's going to work. I want to make sure I got enough fluoride in me before I get the vaccine so the microchips can work. This is irresponsible.
Oh yeah, I suppose.
Well, there are a lot of conspiracy theories floating around out there too. I don't know if I really want to touch on that though. It's not really worth. It's like I'll just make fun of them. I think it's usually they're so funny. That
I just got to say one more thing about the microchips, though. I mean, thank God we're going to have microchips in our bodies, because now I won't have to pack my phone everywhere I go anymore for them to track me with and to listen to me. And that means that they won't be able to know what I'm saying anymore, because these microchips inside my body don't have they don't have the bandwidth. They can't transmit audio like my phone used to be able to. So the government's actually going to be, doing a worse job. So,
well, yeah.
Good job.
And that's the thing too. I'm you know what really intrigues me about like having the post-humanist microchip transplant or whatever, and having like your phone just be in your body is it's kind of like that Star Trek concept of I try and see the good in all the things, right? So you're walking around, say, in a country where you're not familiar with the written language or the spoken language or whatever, and now you'd have your augmented reality phone implant or whatever that's going to give you the translation for that sign when you're looking for a laundromat or whatever you're looking for in another place, or it's going to live translate for you what someone else is saying. Hopefully better than the wallpaper I just put up. The instructions for that, they were terrible. But I was just talking about something similar today. With my oldest kid, I was telling her about a movie that I think was ahead of its time, which was Strange Days. Have you ever seen Strange Days?
Mm-hmm.
Where people are getting
It's been a while.
Well, if you're listening and you haven't seen Strange Days, it's a good movie, but it's based on the fact that people can download each other's, I guess, experiences, sights, sounds, feelings, emotional state, adrenaline rush, all that stuff, and they're watching it like TV, right? Like an augmented reality, sort of like a TV show, but everyone gets kind of hooked on this feelings, getting to be able to kind of like choose all the different things that you're experiencing and feeling and all that stuff. Some people just sink right into this false reality. I don't know. I thought it's an interesting show. It kind of comes back. I think it was ahead of its time at the time. One of those like strangely prophetic shows that kind of didn't find an audience at the time, but maybe someone else will find it now. It's something worth checking out. Strange Days.
Now, I can't remember what book it was. Of course, I've read a lot of science fiction books, but there was one that came out maybe about 10 years ago where they developed wormhole technology, but all they could make was really tiny wormholes, like microscopic. However, they were big enough to send an electric signal through, which means you could instantly communicate with any other point that had a wormhole. And eventually what they ended up doing was they ended up implanting a chip in your brain with a miniature wormhole in it. And you could instantly transmit all of your thoughts, everything you see, everything you feel, to another person who also has this. And that was the means of telepathy. But what ended up happening is because the government could watch you, they could open a wormhole anywhere at any time, whenever they wanted. So these people were getting together in these large meetings where you'd get searched to have all your electronics removed. And then you go into a pitch black room and you'd have like a big orgy in these rooms because the government couldn't keep track of what you're doing in there.
Man,
similar.
I got to read more. you got to keep a list. Every time you tell me about a book, I'm like, I need to read this shit, and I can't find it.
Well, I am going to be making lists. I actually just recently made a list of time travel books. So I'm going to start doing that now, because like I have a backlog of books I want to go back and read again. So that's how they're ending up on the list. If I would read them twice, they end up on a list. Split second. I'm reviewing that one right now, or I did review it recently. That's one of them, where you can travel back in time a microsecond, and that's it, which sounds totally useless, but it revolutionizes the entire world. Interesting concept.
Yeah, it is. I kind of like the, I don't know, I like that other one. That sounds a great premise. I'm going to have to find that book. I'll stop at nothing, Tim. Stop at nothing. So we've been sitting around probably watching lots of TV here. I don't know if you want to kind of jump into what we've been doing on that front.
Well, I'm heavily involved in trying to figure out what's happening with WandaVision, which we're on the third episode now.
Yeah,
and
me too.
I don't know. So, spoiler alert. I guess we got to say that.
Well, we could just talk about it right now and just spoil the shit out of it, and like we normally do, which I think is fine. I mean, what do you think of that? I mean,
well, why don't we just talk about what the comics said first? Because there's no spoilers available in the comics. I mean, that happened years ago. We don't know for sure. Well, why don't we just spoil it? If you've listened this long, you know you're getting spoiled, right?
You're going to get spoiled, and we're going to give you a warning first. We're going to blab like idiots about this show. I don't really know much about the comics, so if you can enlighten me on some stuff, maybe it might shed some light on a few things that I have questions about. But we can just kind of talk about that. So I don't know. Do you want to just kind of fair warning from here on out? We're going to spoil the show. So tune out. Don't listen or come back later, because I think we're going to talk about the Expanse and some other stuff. But we're going to spoil WandaVision. So stop right now if you're listening. I've got a very limited. I'm a unapologetic DC comics nut, and even my experience with that is pretty limited. So I'm familiar with the concept of Scarlet Witch, Wanda, and Vision. I'm not super familiar with that character in the comics, other than a few ones that I've read. And I don't really know a whole lot of story backwards and forwards and stuff like that. I think I still have a comic book called House of M, and I think Magneto did some stuff, and he was using Wanda to kind of like recreate, which is his daughter in the comics. I know that much. And he was using her to kind of like recreate a new reality sort of thing. I don't think I got all the way through. Like I said, I don't really know. So I'm going to rely on you heavily for the background. So I guess we could talk about the first two episodes. They released those right off the hop, and you and I both watched them, and then we just kind of got the third one down. And I feel a little bit better about watching them, haven't seen the third one, because I have a kind of an idea. But I think I'm going to give you a chance here to just get the rundown in and just kind of pop off what we saw on the show and how it relates back to the comics.
Yeah, so it might have something to do with the House of M somewhat, because the Scarlet Witch was in there with Charles Xavier, right? And that would have been Magneto, but I think the kids are more related to Mephisto, if I'm saying that word right. I've never had to speak it before, right? You always read these things. But anyway, so they appear in this world. Wanda and Vision appear in this world, which is in black and white to start with. And they have no idea why they're there. Like they have amnesia. They know they're married, just married, but they don't have wedding rings. But Vision has to be recently deceased, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know he has to be real to a degree in the show, though, because he has his own job and everything. Like you see him separate from Wanda.
Mm-hmm.
So you know he's probably alive somehow, even if it isn't the original him, which doesn't make any sense because he doesn't have the Mind Stone anymore. Once they get a little farther into the show, it turns out that Wanda's pregnant. The pregnancy lasts a whole 20 minutes, and then she gives birth to twins. So now in the comic books, the twins are actually somehow entangled with the soul of Mephisto, which was split into 4 or 5 pieces. Now there's another guy that's in the comic books wandering around trying to gather up the pieces of this soul, and his name is Senior Scratchy, which happens to be the rabbit in the show. His mother is Agatha Harkness in the comics, and we have Agnes, who's wearing Agatha Harkness's brooch in episode 3. So she's probably there, which is she was the one that lent them the rabbit in episode 2. So somehow this has a lot to do with Mephisto and magic. It's got to have something to do with that. Now the kids, they grow up and they become part of the new Avengers, which I didn't read any of those comics, so I missed out on all that storyline. What else did you notice? Anything that I didn't capture there? Other than at the end, they, I don't know. You watched the last episode, right? Did you
I
watch
watched,
episode 3?
yeah, I did watch the last episode, and I kind of have an idea. Like I said, I haven't really seen all of the Marvel stuff. I've kind of tuned out. I've caught like the Avengers stuff. I've caught all the Avengers
Mm-hmm.
movies, but some of the movies in between, the Spider-Man and Captain Marvel, I haven't really caught. But I did kind of read up on it, and I know that the character who's playing, what's her name in the show? She helps Wanda deliver the baby. Anyway, she's a Captain Marvel's friend's daughter.
Yeah.
I read some spoilers afterwards because I had a like me. What you're telling me right now, I guess, makes a whole lot of sense. And I think if you're a they're deep cuts from the comic books, which is one of the great things that Marvel does, is they have like a reverence for their source material. So it's good. Like, I mean, I'm on the outside of this going, what is happening here? And I'm hoping it all pays off in the end. I like the show. I think it's really like, it's definitely well written. It's definitely well acted. It's beautifully shot. And I like the whole aesthetic. I just felt lost like a puppy dog just wandering into something. So I'm hoping it all kind of comes together for me in the end. I'm going to keep watching though. I think it's really good.
Well, it has some Twin Peaks kind of moments, which
A couple.
the sitcom aspect of it is a little bit of a turnoff at times. The only reason I hang in there is because of all the little bits, right? If it was going to be like the sitcom all the time, that I'd be done with it already. It's almost, they do it to the point where they make it annoying on purpose, I think, which is a Twin Peaks kind of thing.
Yeah, look, that's the thing with this show. When I was watching it, I kind of have an idea in my head. It's more like a little bit of a fear for the show, is that we're going to get to the end of the show and it's going to get better as it goes along, and it's going to get more intriguing, and you're going to get more answers as it goes along. But what I'm actually afraid of is that by the time you get there, they did so little advancing the story in the first 2 episodes that you won't ever need to watch them again, or there won't be a whole lot to harken back to go, oh yeah, remember this happened and this caused this. I have a feeling I have a feeling that, you know, they put the first 2 out simultaneously, maybe strategically, because by the time you get to that second episode, you're still kind of like, what the shit am I watching here? What happened?
Yeah.
And that's the thing is when you get to the end of the show, you'll be like, that was a great show and a whole lot happened in it, but the first 2 episodes, nothing happened. And then there'd be no reason to watch those. It's kind of like the Phantom Menace, you know, you could not watch that movie for the rest of your life and skip that movie and the whole going through of all the Star Wars movies, and you might not miss much. You might not even miss
what?
Much.
Not get the pod races?
Well, now I'm a Phantom. We're going down a rabbit hole here. Like, I love the Phantom Menace, but you could skip it. Like, you could just skip that movie.
Yes, that's true.
I know some people do, and you wouldn't get the pod race, you wouldn't get the Darth Maul fight, you wouldn't get a whole bunch of cool stuff. But I always watch it. I love the Phantom Menace, but you could skip it. I think you could. And that's like these first 2 episodes.
Well, it could be, especially if you know some of the comic book history. The lady that you were mentioning there, and why can I not remember her name?
I'm going to look it up right now just because I just need to know. I made a point to remember it because I liked her character in the show, and then I forgot it.
Yeah.
Like a jerk. And we're looking right now. This is the sound of 2
Yeah, we're looking right. This is us looking. Geraldine.
Geraldine.
Okay, so Geraldine in the show has a sword emblem on her necklace this week as well, in her pendant. Right.
Well, that's showed up.
So she works for sword. Yes. And the thing is, when did she arrive? She arrived when the helicopter crashed. I think she's the pilot of the helicopter.
Ah, okay. So you had the color, you have little blurbs of color in the first 2 episodes. One of them is the helicopter. You have the toaster on the commercial.
Yeah. The flashing light on the toaster.
Yeah, and we have blood. So they've got like a very red theme, like the color red is coming up a lot. So that would harken. And I don't know much about Mephisto. Is he like the actual devil or something?
He's a demon. He's from hell, I believe.
Like a Doctor Strange demon. Is he more?
He makes deals. He makes deals with people for their souls. He's pretty much the devil. But either way, he's a demon from hell who makes wagers for people's souls. So it's a good stand-in for the devil. Remember him having red as part of his color theme, but also so does Wanda herself, right?
Yeah.
Her powers are red-based. However, the helicopter, if you look at it, is quite clearly Iron Man based because it's yellow and red.
Yeah. And we got some Stark talk there with the
Yep.
toaster oven, and yeah, there's a lot to go on here in the show. I don't know, it's a fun show.
So something that just happened this last episode was some soap, the Hydra soap, and that soap, it was mentioned by Phil Coulson, that
Shield.
Agents of Shield show.
Yeah,
He had mentioned that Hydra was using soap to brainwash people, and then we have a Hydra soap commercial in the middle of the sitcom. So I don't think Hydra really is the people behind this. Are they smart enough to do that? They never seem smart enough to pull something like this off.
well, if I remember, we got some loose ends with Hydra kicking around out there. Like we've got, of all the stuff we saw of Hydra, we had Gary Shandling character in Iron Man was a Hydra guy. So they've got people high up in the government. And Captain America found all those high up Hydra guys in his movie, which I think was the Winter Soldier film.
Mm-hmm.
And we had, if my memory serves me correct, there was another Hydra reference. Oh, we have... the computer guy. You remember the dude? Like, was it what was his name? Was it Arnim Zola or whatever? He was in the original Captain America movie, the Red Skull's scientist buddy, and
Right.
And he wound up being in the computer down in that bunker in Captain America, and Black Widow found him down there.
Yeah, that's right.
Did he get blown to smithereens, or is he still kicking around?
I think that one. I think I seem
yeah?
to remember a crater on that building. Well, they could be behind it, but somehow. My personal theory is that Wanda's been tricked into doing it herself. And maybe they use the soap to do that because she has the power to bend reality and create other realities. We saw that at the very first time she showed up. She just touched the Hulk and Iron Man and whoever and put them into a different world, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that was just mental. But I think that she is causing this to happen because of she's lost her brother and then she lost Vision, but she's being tricked into doing it. Of course, Mephisto also alters reality. So I guess we'll know pretty soon because apparently Geraldine, or the character that plays Geraldine, she was saying that, so she's playing Monica Rambeau, the grown-up daughter of Captain Marvel's U.S. Air Force pilot, Maria Rambeau. The actor that plays her was saying that episode 4 is where everything cuts loose.
All right.
So... And she's not allowed to just walk around saying stuff that she's not allowed to say, right? Because they'll shoot you if you...
Oh, yeah, Marvel.
They're carefully controlled of what they can say, so they wanted her to spoil it a little bit and let us know that something big is coming next week.
They probably have one of those vacuum bags, and they just put you in one for like 2 minutes or something. if you blab secrets.
Threaten you before they let you out? Yeah.
Yeah, someone just shows up at your house and they vacuum bag you. Nothing fatal, just a good 2 minutes in the vacuum bag.
Could you imagine one drunken moment after filming one of these shows? The kind of damage you could cause?
Well, I wouldn't be able to keep my lips shut. To be honest with you, I'd have to go live in a mountain somewhere with no internet. I'd have to. I'm terrible at keeping secrets. But
we already have the Hulk walking around with his loose lips. Amazingly, he never spoiled anything major, but he came close a few times.
Well, I remember seeing an interview when there was an interview with the whole cast of the Avengers, and Scarlett Johansson kind of, her and Robert Downey Jr. had kind of a slip up there on, I can't remember what talk show it was, but they didn't say much, but they kind of just insinuated that they weren't going to make it. And everyone was like, shut up. No, I think I don't know. After the first, I watched the first 2 episodes and I was kind of debating not watching anymore, but I gave the third one a chance. And I think they're kind of, I think they might be stringing me along, but I think I might like where they're going. And just another thought that I had about this is, the Disney Plus streaming platform, we watched like The Mandalorian. We've seen, I don't know what else they've released on there, 2 seasons of Mandalorian, and this is really all I've been interested in. But they were adamant about releasing the episodes just 1 week at a time, which is something that kind of I guess Amazon has started doing, and I don't know, maybe Netflix has started doing it. They started canceling all their TV shows altogether. So, but in some examples of that, I kind of like it, because on Friday nights, my family and I would sit down and be like, all right, it's Mandalorian time. And you get that little episodic burst of whatever, and a kind of story that kind of mishmashed itself every half hour or 45-minute episode or whatever it is. And I think that really worked well for that show. It kept you coming back every week or whatever. But I think in the context of this show, I'd almost say that doing that and putting out that one little teaser episode, or the dual episode one, and then releasing one a week afterwards, like, this might be a binge show where you're just like, I need to know what the hell's going on here right now. And it might, I don't know. I kind of wish it was one that I could just sit down and roll right through, because it's just, I don't know if I like being strung along that. This is me just griping. But I don't know. It seemed funny. I'd have to wait till the end though, and now I can't do that. This is me just working through my own shit here. I don't like it. Damn it.
We used to back in the olden days, we used to have to wait, right? And then there'd be a cliffhanger at the end of the season, and you'd have to wait months, and then maybe they'd cancel the show while you were waiting. Like, you never knew, right?
Yeah, and then you wait 25 years to find out what happened.
Yeah.
Like Twin Peaks.
Now, if they release one a week now, though, and you don't like it that way, you can binge it. You just have to wait a little longer. And if you miss it that Friday, like, say, for instance, back in the old days, if you missed it on Friday, you were screwed. That was it, unless you somehow caught a rerun, which sometimes never happened. Whereas now, if you miss it on Friday, you can watch it on Saturday. So you got the best of both worlds, really, because you're going to be able to binge it if you wait, or you could just watch it, when it's convenient for you, or you can watch it when it's released. I feel like we need shared stories. We need to all be on the same page at the same time in society. Well, maybe not the same page, but we need to have segments of society that can watch the same thing the same week and have something to talk about besides, what happened to Capitol Hill. We need stories like we used to have, back when we used to watch that episode of Fall Guy or whatever show that was only going to happen once, and then you had something to talk about when you went to school.
Yeah. I never really thought about it that way, but that's pretty insightful.
We've been missing that, because when we first got streaming and everything else, everybody just ditched that, and there was so much stuff to do that everyone was on a different page. So this will build community.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it definitely has. The only thing I wish is it was a little bit more in person. That was the thing. Like, we're watching Twin Peaks again with my kids, and it's like you said, when that show came out, I think I was like 12 when that show hit the airwaves, and I really wanted to watch it, but it was on past my bedtime. I had an early bedtime, and I couldn't watch it. We didn't have a VCR, so I couldn't tape it, and I just kind of had to rely on reruns, which were never on at a decent hour for me to watch. So I just kind of gave up on watching that show, and I picked it back up again way late in the game, right before they were bringing out the newer season of it. And I watched that. I watched the whole show. I was able to watch it all at my convenience or whatever. But there's no one. I remember everyone, like, even though I was a school kid at the time, like I was in grade 6 or 7, but I just remember there was a buzz about it, and you'd read about it in the newspaper, you'd see it on TV, and people would talk about it all the time. And I knew that people, like adults, were going around, and they were just like, ensconced in this show. They just loved it. It was just so engrossing. And it was just kind of one of those things that I wished I could be into. And now, kind of like, you're right. You do have those shows. The Mandalorian is one where you can watch it. And then on Friday, you wake up, and if you haven't watched it, everyone's kind of posted a bunch of shit and spoiled it on Facebook for you. So you can't look at any of that stuff, which is kind of unfortunate. But you do have conversations. Like, I go to work, and people would be like, hey, did you see that? Or people would text me, you'd text me. And that's good, right? Like, it's something else to talk about other than crazy stuff. And there are important things to talk about, I think, but something that brings everyone onto the same page is definitely needed right now.
Yeah, something that we can get together and talk about that we enjoy, not just something that's like freaking us out.
That's right. Even if it does freak you out, that's good too. We could talk through that, but no,
so
I don't know.
Same thing with the Expanse, right? Like the Expanse, that's something I'm looking forward to now. Like, I'm caught up. And one part of me is sad because I can't just cram the whole season in 2 nights. But what a waste.
Can we spoil that show?
To do that. Well, we probably should, I guess.
Oh, I love it. Let's spoil that one too.
We came this far. I've read all the books, so I'm I'm really happy with the fact that in general they're following the books. Like there's small differences, but they're not big enough to worry about unless you're a purist, which I'm not. It's pretty hard to match up and exactly on the science fiction books because they're actually they're long, right? They're not everybody's kind of read. I don't think
Yeah.
they don't drag per se, but you know what I mean. They're a little dry at times.
Well,
And
I haven't picked those books up. One of the things I think when you take a novel or something like that, you adapt it to TV or you adapt it to a movie. There's novels are so dense in what you get. Like there's just things that you can't do in a movie or a TV show that you can do in a novel. Like you can get into what a person's thinking. You can get into like, what kind of smells are on there and recreate that in your reader's head, whereas you can't really do that on screen. So I think the talent of a good writer for a movie or a TV show is to take the stuff that they know is going to work and that they can show the audience. And I don't know, for someone who hasn't read the books, like, dude, I am engrossed in the show. I think this is the best show on TV right now. I think it does everything right. This is everything that anyone could ever ask for to see if you're a science fiction fan, I guess. And it's just, I don't know, it's just so perfect, man. There's someone in this show for everybody. And if you think that the guy or the person that you really identify with is your person, your opinion on them will change down the road, or you'll pick up someone else new that you can kind of relate to, or you could it's just so good in that respect. I love this show. I can't say it enough.
Well, and some of the best stuff is still coming. Let's put it that way.
Oh,
and the last book of the series isn't finished yet. The final, I think it's book 8 or 9, isn't out yet. So I'm kind of cliffhung myself on the very end of the show. But like in this season, I wasn't sure how they were going to do this with the evil or with the bad guy and the son, the love triangle between the mother, son, and father.
yeah,
if you know what I mean. Not a love triangle. That's not the right word.
Well,
it's
like
loyalty triangle.
Yeah, and that's one of the.
And they pretty much duplicated that part of the book.
Now, imagine when you're reading the book, you're kind of getting a lot more of the son's perspective, because this seems like a character to me that's like really torn between the two. But it's just his dad seems so much more.
Yeah, actually, you see in the book, you see how beat up he gets mentally by his dad. Like the abuse level is different. It's much more up there, right? You can really feel how he's a tortured soul. Yeah, I don't know. What were your thoughts of that last episode there? Because I guess it was the episode before that where she jumped through the airlock and floated through space. Now, it's variable. Different people would say that's not possible, right? The whole floating from one ship to another without a spacesuit.
Well, she had her cool needle that, I don't know, her cool.
She shot herself up with drugs or whatever there. Yeah.
Yeah, and that gave her enough.
Yeah,
that gave her enough juice to kind of do what she needed to do, and she paid the price for that. Like she's running around on that ship, and she's not feeling so hot, right?
Yeah.
But no, the last episode was really good. Like I really liked how they pushed her into a corner where she was like there's just so many futile situations that people are in this, and you get to see how they work themselves out and the ingenuity of the characters. Mm-hmm. And hers was one, like, how she had to figure out how to cut that message and just kind of like cut in and out of it so that it would broadcast something just remotely different in the chance that someone might pick up on that. And it just how sneaky the villains are. Like, I don't know, Marco Inaros there. Like, I honestly think that he could win, and there's not going to be some sort of sweeping revenge. And when you really look at the show, there's a whole bunch of things going on behind the scenes. Like one of the things that they do really well is they pick up on say, you pick up on Earth and the Moon, right? And so Earth and the Moon have their mm-hmm. own government, and you just get to see how busted and tired that whole machine is. And this is what they're up against, right? They're up against this new guy who's got, a fiery legion behind him, and he's got the steam to just pick everyone else up. And either you're with this guy or he'll kill you, right? And he's fighting against one Mars, who seems like they're implicit in selling this guy goods and stuff like that. So they're very corruptible. and not much of a threat to him. And the big threat he's already neutralized with Earth, because they don't even know what to do with themselves. They're like, when you see what kind of a state the Earth is in, even before they show you in this season what happens before the asteroids hit and what happens afterwards. And it's not looking so hot even before the asteroids hit. It's a mess. So you know that everyone's tired, on drugs. The government's kind of broken, and there's just a whole bunch of people clamoring for power for their own kind of selfish needs. And you're just kind of get the sense that you're watching the whole Earth system just play itself out, right? And I think that functions with the Marco Inaros's plan, where you just kind of really accept that whatever he's doing, like there's no stopping him. He's just going to get what he wants. No,
that's the thing though. So, and I don't know if I should give you a spoiler from the books or not, but I'm going to. It's a minor
spoilers. Spoilers don't hurt my feelings at all. Yeah.
Okay. So what if Marco is actually a figurehead?
Oh, that's even scarier.
Because after all, doesn't he have an access to an awful lot of Mars stuff?
Well, he does, and that's the thing. Like, that's, there's all these conspiracies being uncovered, and I'm sitting here watching this going like, how are they okay with this? Like, nobody would be okay with this. And there's got to be, you're right, there's got to be a bigger threat. We'll leave it at that, because I'm still interested. I'm still interested. I'm super interested in the show. This is probably my favorite show on TV now. Every Wednesday I come upstairs at about 6:00 after I watch it, and I just go, holy shit, that is the best show ever. And it usually has something to do. So the guy that I really like is Amos, and I know he's kind of a shady dude, but he suplexed a guy down an elevator shaft. That was amazing.
That was pretty cool.
That was amazing.
He landed right on the edge of the elevator shaft.
Oh yeah, just this whole tough guy speech. Like, I like the tough guy thing, right? When he's in that ship traveling to Earth with those two guys, and he just tells them, he's like, "How much damage do you think I could do to you in 2 minutes without withholding my breath?" It's just like, you believe that guy, right? He's just the best heavy I've ever seen in a TV show. Yeah, there's tons to like.
His attitudes. He pulls off exactly what's in the books too. That's the best part about it. He figures prominently in future books as well. So just that's a spoiler that he's not going to die quite yet.
Well, I was saying to someone the other day that if Amos dies, I'm out. I'm out. And I thought they were going to grease him.
You're good for quite a few years, probably.
I thought they were going to grease him in the last season when he was fighting against his girlfriend there and that other guy. He wound up just like cold blood shooting his girlfriend, which is pretty nuts.
Well, he pretty much basically did die in the book on that one. Like he lost so much blood that he was on the verge of death. But yeah,
you just can't stop that.
That particular season, he did the poorest as far as intelligence goes. He made some dumb decisions, but I guess when you're that tough, you might make some dumb decisions.
Well, they don't play him off as a particularly intelligent guy, and that's what I kind of like about him. Like, there's a scene with him in this season here where he goes in and he goes into that. There's that guy who's got that compound or whatever. He goes out of his way to go to that guy's compound because he knows pretty much what he's going to find there, and he knows that in some form or fashion he's got like some hyper friggin' steroid lady with him, right? So he knows that whatever he's going to encounter there, he's going to get the better of it. He still goes there anyway, and he has that scene after they wipe that guy out or whatever, where he sits down with Clarissa Mao with her, and he's Clarissa. Like, you know what? He was like, if I was with Holden, I'd never have done any of that shit. And he's like, I need to be back with my crew, and that's the character. Like, he's got that much of a, I don't know, he knows what he is, and without some people around him to kind of like steer him somewhere, he goes to bad places. But he's smart enough to know that, but he's dumb enough to fall into it all the time, right? And it's just so much more interesting watching a character like that knows their flaws and all that stuff. And all the characters do. They all know their flaws, and they all kind of like you see their imperfections and stuff, and how they're tortured by them or how they think about them. And man, I don't know. I can't say enough good things about it. I'm so glad that it didn't get canceled, and that Amazon picked it up, and they say dirty words now because it's way better.
Well, what else is going on out there in TV land?
Well, we've gushed quite poetically about two shows here. One I'm a little bit unsure of, and one that I'm a total fanboy for. And another property or another show that I'm watching right now is is I've been fortunate enough to have found copies of Stephen King's The Stand, and I've been watching that, and not so good. It's not good. It outright kind of sucks, and man, I tell you, like, it made me kind of sad to start watching the show.
It's funny because so many of Stephen King's adaptations turn out like crap. It's almost like they don't translate well. And I don't understand the problem, because if they just did what it said in the book, everything would be fine. But they never do that. They always try to make it their own or something.
Well, you know what I mean? Yeah, and we kind of hinted at this before, but there's we just talked about this where a talented writer or a talented team will take stuff that they know is going to work for a show, and they'll turn this knob up to 11 and they'll dial this one back down to 5, or they'll change this and they'll omit this part or whatever. And I think with this show here, we had a mini series before that I think by the time you put it on TV, it eked out to about 6 hours with commercials of a show, which was the 90s version of The Stand. Rob Lowe and Molly Ringwald and Gary Sinise, I think, was in
Gary Sinise. Yeah.
And in those 6 hours, I think there was obviously they couldn't do any of the more adult stuff that was in the book. If you read the book, which I did when I was younger and saw that show, I was pretty pleased with that show, and I still am. There's still things I think about. I still think of Larry Underwood sitting on the stream of cars playing Eva Destruction on his guitar. That's a scene that pops into my head. And Rob Lowe meeting Tom Cullen with I think it was Scream Queen Shawnee Smith was playing like the insane Southern Belle gun-toting temptress. Yep. That was a great scene. There's a whole bunch of things like that stick out in my head. Tom Cullen. But this show here, when you get a chance to sit down and watch it, they play the story out, and the story plays out the way it plays out in the books. They chose to kind of do the Lost flash forward, flashback kind of thing, where you go back and forth between times. So at the beginning of the show, you pick up after the captain trips and everyone's kind of trying to sort everything out in Colorado. And then you go back and you see Harold and Franny. And then you go back and you see Stu and how when he's in the compound and all that stuff. And I think the pacing of it is kind of funny. And there's just a bunch of things that just a whole bunch of missed opportunities. They got 9 hours with no commercials pretty much. I think it's going to, maybe 8 hours or something like that. And I think they kind of like putzed around so much at the beginning of the show, doing the backwards and forwards thing, that now you're kind of caught up and there's no more flash forwards and flashbacks. The show's almost over. And I don't feel any kinship to the characters. The good guys, they've actually kind of made me feel like they're kind of dicks, and I wouldn't give a shit if they died because they're kind of terrible. And even the fan favorite Tom Cullen, like if you're a human being at all and you're reading that story or you watch that first miniseries, you just can't help but love that guy. He's just a simple soul. He's just a MOON, that spells Tom Cullen. And you could just get behind that guy. Like, you want to see him because he's a teddy bear character, right? You just love that guy. And even him, they kind of like wash him over, and he's probably one of the more likable guys. But I find that now I'm watching the show and they're doing more stuff with the bad guy characters. Like Harold is kind of like that Magneto character in this one, where you can kind of see why he's mad about everything. And they don't give you they give you enough stuff to know that he's kind of like, that he's wrong, but you can sympathize with him so much, I think, in the show, that even when he's wrong, you're still like, well, is he really that wrong? And that's not a guy that you should be even thinking that about, right? Like all the things that he does.
It's not ambiguous.
It's not. And you kind of like, they give you enough that you feel sorry for him in ways. And I guess you are supposed to feel sorry for him, but it's just like, they might have gone a little bit too far, and the characters that he's playing off, they might have gone a little bit not far enough with amping out how good they are. Like, it's just, I don't know. I'm going to watch it to the end because I just love the story. And there are a little shining moments. One of the things that I mentioned too is, the villain of the story. Like, you have a really good guy, which is, Mother Abigail, Whoopi Goldberg. And then to the foil of that, you have a really bad guy, which is Stephen King's Darth Vader of his universe, is Randall Flagg. And if you know anything about the Stephen King, I guess we'll call it the Kingiverse or whatever, you know that Randall Flagg plays into a whole bunch of different stories of Stephen King's. And he's kind of like that Darth Vader character, and he has an emperor kind of guy. And he's like the lesser baddie, but he's still insanely bad. And in this one, you don't really get to find out how bad he is until a few episodes in, where you see glimpses of him, but you don't see him do anything really bad. Like, I was having a conversation with this about someone, and about, villains getting introduced, and, you watch, we're going to go back to Star Wars again, and we're going to say Darth Vader. You watch that guy, as soon as he makes his entrance on that ship in that first movie, you see him, you see what he's all about. He's all dressed in black. He's got an artificial wheezy voice. And the first thing he does is choke a guy to death and throw him against a wall. Like, this is a bad guy, and you know it right away. Well, this show doesn't do that. You look at Inglourious Bastards with Hans Landa, right? You know how bad this guy is from the first scene, and you're just in fear of him. And that's the kind of villain that Randall Flagg is. But you don't get that sense of him in this one. Like, he kind of like does a little wink and nod to the camera sort of thing. And you kind of get the sense that he's been involved in this horrifically bad thing, but you don't really see him do anything super nuts to go like, holy shit, this is the worst bad guy ever, until way later on. So then by the time you get to him, you're like, well, yeah, I guess.
Well, he's no Negan from The Walking Dead, for instance.
No,
Negan shows up in The Walking Dead, and right away you're like, that guy sucks. Like, he's
like immediately Joffrey Baratheon in Game of Thrones. Who's the other guy that's worse than him? Ramsay Bolton. Like, right away when you meet these guys, you just know what they're all about, and you know that, like, I hate this guy. I don't like him, and that's kind of like, he's Stephen King's Darth Vader. You're supposed to feel really, really like he's
Hans
the bad
Gruber
guy.
Hans Gruber from what's that movie called?
Die Hard.
It's a Christmas movie. Die Hard. Well, maybe it's not a Christmas movie, but
Jingle Bullets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my thoughts on it. So I won't rant about it anymore. I mean,
I haven't seen that one yet, so we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be floating around pretty quick. I got the CBS All Access, so I had to do some rejingling to make sure I saw that show. I'm I can't not watch it. So
Well, I'm still whittling away at Dexter season 7, which I've never watched Dexter until this last 6 months, and I really enjoyed the first 5 seasons, but then it's just getting harder and harder to. But I'm determined I got to finish it, right?
Yeah,
I'm not hating it. It's just that
No.
there's just making me feel uncomfortable, if you know what I mean. I'm not really happy with the way it's going.
So I think I know what you're talking about now. Are you talking about the Deb Dexter relationship?
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't think she'd be able to live with it. If your sister found out that you were spoiler alert. if your sister found out that you were a serial murderer, what would she do? I don't think she'd just work with you every day. I can't see it. You'd have to do some heavy mental juggling to be able to work with somebody who's a serial killer in a police department.
Yeah,
Wouldn't you?
You're at the point of the show where I was watching that, and I was just kind of looking at that going, are you fucking serious? And I'm not going to tell you anything that happens, but man, you don't have a whole lot to look forward to. You do know that they're doing like a We're Sorry season for that show, right?
Oh yeah. I'm all on board for that, and that's why I want to finish watching the show. This is one of those shows where I missed it right off the bat, and then I was working in a remote work camp where I couldn't get it. So I missed the entire first 2 seasons or whatever. And then it just seemed like, well, whatever. Missed it. That's a missed boat, right? So I just didn't even think about it. It's a good throwback, though, because they all have flip phones, and, there's some interesting things to watching a show like that. And as I watch, I think they're in 2007, 2008 now in the show timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And they're starting to get real laptops and real computers. This computer screens don't look so goofy anymore, and little things like that are happening there. But yeah, I'm interested to see how the reboot goes. One
Yeah.
thing that I was really interested to find out was that Dexter, the actor playing Dexter, had a fairly serious bout with cancer in season 3, season 4, but he didn't tell his co-workers about it. He just went to work and did his best. And watching them all in a row like I did, you can see him go from looking pretty healthy to, oh my God, you look like death warmed over, to, oh, you're starting to look healthier again. You can actually see him per episode, his health change, which is something you wouldn't have known at the time even, right?
Yo, I didn't notice
now
that
I'm
at all.
watching. The way it worked in the show was when he was his sickest, they had a fresh baby in the house, so he wasn't getting any sleep. So you might have thought he's supposed to look like that because this is what's happening in the show. But knowing that he was really sick in the real world, you can look at him and go, this guy is like real sick. He just had chemo or something yesterday. So that's kind of interesting. And then you watch the various, like when you watch all the seasons of show like this, you watch people's weight slowly go up and slowly go down, and their hairstyle changes rapidly because you're watching one after the other, right?
Yeah.
So it's just something I've noticed more with this show than any other show I've watched, is things like that going on with the actors.
No, it's I don't know. That's Dexter. That's I can't believe you're watching it. Here we are. I don't want to tell you too much because I don't know. I don't know how much you've had spoiled for you for the ending and all that jazz. But
well, the very ending I've had spoiled for me, but none of the details in between. So I'll just let her roll and see what happens.
Yeah, you're in it right up to the end, and I sure was. And then they just kind of like come in and fucking stick the knife in your tires. It's quite the thing.
Okay, well, what about Yellowstone?
I have never watched the show, but you're the
with
second
our
person
favorite water world actor.
Yeah,
our favorite water world actor is the main dude. Yeah, I'm not a cowboy kind of guy, but I'm really enjoying it. Nicole's probably watching it right now. I'm gonna have to catch up on whatever she's watching, but yeah, it's like Breaking Bad goes cowboy almost. Not quite that bad, but it's like Animal Kingdom meets the Wild West. It's different than you would imagine.
Well, this is the second good recommendation I've had for Yellowstone, so I might have to give it a watch.
Yeah, because he normally if he plays a cowboy, he's normally the good old boy cowboy, right? Whereas you can't really say that this family there's any good old boys in it.
Oh no, so he's a fair step away
from
a
politician, and yeah, there's the dad who runs the whole ranch community within Iron Fist, and there's his posse of people that'll do anything for him, and there's a lawyer daughter who drinks way too much, and a politician's son who's a whiny little bastard.
Wow.
And then of course there's the son that was in the special forces who's really good at killing people. So you got everything there, right?
Well, this sounds like The Godfather. Yeah, I might have to give that a shot.
Have to give it a try.
That's yeah. Well, I don't know. What else do you think we should touch on, Tim? Reconvene next week, maybe?
Everything that I've been thinking about. Yeah, we should do this next week. We can go over what happened in WandaVision and see if it was the big reveal. Maybe it was.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they make good on it. I think next time I'll talk about my Twin Peaks rewatch with the kids. We're watching that with the kids. They love it. So we'll talk about.
Why don't we do are you watching the first season?
Yeah, we made it all the way through the first season, and we're right around where things take a nosedive in the second. So, and then my kids want to watch all the way through. They want to watch the movie. They want to watch the third season, The Return, and all that jazz. My wife, not so much. She wasn't a big fan of anything past the end of the second season, but I think she might. We might be able to rope her back in. But we'll talk about that. I think.
Okay. Well, I've been meaning to rewatch the third season. So why don't we focus on Twin Peaks next week?
Yeah, let's do a Twin Peaks
a bit. But I've been planning on watching the reboot, or the continuation, the more recent continuation. I was going to watch that again. So
I think they call it Twin Peaks: The Return.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll
Well,
reconvene same bat time, same bat channel.
sure. Let's do that.
All right, man. Well, it's been a slice, and we'll talk to you next week.
It's been a slice.
Take care, everybody.